banner of Lynagh with the ladies still performing out there on the field. And a quick look down the South African side again, that relatively inexperienced backline. Donnie Gerber, of course, the experienced man in the centre there. And Lars Buerta, the most experienced man in the side, captaining the side at fly half. And Robert Dupree, man who gives his all. And the forwards for South Africa, Jan Staker, the man who came onto the field in place of Heinrich Rogers last Saturday. And there comes the South African side, James Small, and behind him Theo van Rensburg. As we look at the Australian side quickly before play gets underway, Dave Campese, the genius, the unpredictable man, 49 test tries. And Michael Lynagh and Nick Farr-Jones, well, they know each other so well, they've played together so often, and that certainly is going to make a big difference. There's mobile locks, Rod McCall and John Eales, and that powerful front row for the Australians.
Of course, one of the things that might favour South Africa is...
And this time, nothing wrong with the ball as Marty Roebuck starts the game. John Eales there, picking it up for Australia. A good drive by the Australian forwards. They'll be looking for the ball now. Farr-Jones has it. Michael Lynagh with the high testing kick for Theo van Rensburg. Not going to get to Theo van Rensburg though. A bit of aerial ping pong and then picked up and play by Australia. So Australia kicking off, winning the ball from the kickoff, and that high kick, and no doubt we're going to see lots of those this afternoon because the ball, as play progresses, is going to become more and more slippery. As Farr-Jones feeds, Gavin picks up to Farr-Jones, looking for support. Jason Little, Tim Horan rather, there with him. And that's the try line, South African try line, you can see in the back of the screen.
Well, that's a penalty to South Africa. Wasn't that a super tackle by Peter Muller? Gavin putting Nick Farr-Jones away. Muller came in from centre, took ball and man, saved a very dangerous situation, but a super start by the Australians.
And so now Buerta with the attempt to relieve pressure, keeping it low, it gives you some indication of the wind, and not finding touch. And Farr-Jones hoists the high one again, coming down inside the 22, well taken by McDonald. And South Africa retaining possession and driving a bit. And now Robert Dupree is slipping as he kicks. And chased by Carozza. He runs into a bit of a problem there. Booted down the field, picked up by Campese. And he kicks for the grandstand touchdown, but he's going to find Peter Hendricks. Theo van Rensburg, rather. Van Rensburg with a kick ahead, a good rolling kick. So Theo van Rensburg positioned well for that kick from Dave Campese and taking play up to the Australian 22.
And once again, Peter Muller making that first-time tackle after the breakthrough. But Theo van Rensburg
to the back and tap to Farr-Jones, to Michael Lynagh. Horan, the long pass out to Jason Little. Picked up by Dave Williams as Val Bartman goes in. And another penalty to Australia for South Africa going over the top, and there's the culprit getting up. It's a pat on the back from referee Dave Bishop to Val Bartman.
And Bartman coming in from the wrong side and getting driven over the ball. And Willie Offangawi has taken a knock. And I wonder, is this as a result of that very hard tackle from Robert Dupree a couple of minutes ago? He's a very hard man indeed. And of course, the interesting thing is that on the bench, Andrew Blades, prop forward, Tom Lawton, hooker, and Big Garrick Morgan, who is, of course, a lock forward. But it looks like Willie Offangawi's all right. Gingerly gets to his feet.
So Lynagh from the 22, and certainly an easier kick this one compared to the one he took about 4 minutes ago. Lynagh with the right boot. And this time he makes no mistake, so Australia put first points on the board after 9 minutes or so in the first half. Michael Lynagh succeeding with the penalty, and Australia lead by 3 points to 0. Andre Geldes gets back to Robert de Preet, and nice Boerter. Peter Muller still on his feet, now he's down. Well, Bartman gets it back to Robert de Preet, on the blind side. Dani Gerber up to Uli Schmidt, who's hanging on the wide side. And Uli Schmidt still on his feet, being towered forward by the South Africans, and into touch.
Well, that has certainly got the crowd on its feet.
Robert de Preet feeds. Being harassed by Far Jones, but gets his pass to Nas Boerter, who hoists the high one. Marty Roebuck coming underneath it. And he takes it well. Dani Gerber dispossesses him. Well, Bartman driving in there. Ball gets back, Robert de Preet now. A kick for the far side. Being chased by Carrozza. And the ball beating both Carrozza and James Small into touch. And South Africa right on the attack.
Dani Gerber this side, Theo van Rensburg also hovering this side.
Robert de Preet back to Nas. Once again checking. And the high kick being chased by Peter Hendricks underneath it, Campese and Marty Roebuck. Roebuck comes away with it. And has all the time in the world to run up towards the 22 and kick, but straight into the safe hands of Nas Boerter. He's over the halfway line, and he's got Theo van Rensburg in support. While Bartman is there to carry on the movement, but he's pushed into touch until they kick from Marty Roebuck, eventually gaining a fair amount of ground for Australia. Robert de Preet out to his fly half, and again the high kick from Nas Boerter. Taken on by James Small. And this is certainly a kickable penalty for South Africa.
Well, certainly not the best up and under Nas Boerter has ever kicked, but it's worked. And given Nas the chance to kick the goal, and just look at the way he's flattening down the mud around the ball, and you can see he's kicking out of a really dreadful patch of mud. And this really is a difficult kick, although it's straight in front of the post, 30 yards out.
This time he's headed sweetly enough, and through the middle it goes, and the crowd tells you the story. South Africa back on level terms after 32 minutes of the first half. 3 points apiece. The penalty for Australia from Michael Lynagh, and Nas Boerter replying for South Africa.
And one just gets the feeling this is not going to be a high-scoring test match.
And the deep throw in this time. Far Jones gets it to Lynagh. Horan looking for Jason Little and finding him.
And this is very dangerous for South Africa if Australia win this ball.
Far Jones. He's in the blind side. Far Jones again to Lynagh. Out to Paul Carrozza, and Carrozza goes in for the try. Lovely play for Australia, and Paul Carrozza going over for the first try of the afternoon.
Well, that's a super try by Australia, and made all the better by its simplicity. We didn't see the drive forward by Little, the quick ball back, and just look at the way they worked the overlap in such a short space. And we've seen from the film from New Zealand, when Carrozza gets a chance, well, nothing stops him. A straightening and giving, and just look at the way Lynagh passed that ball around the man. Desperate defence by Staker and de Preet. But that's a well-worked and well-deserved try by Australia. And what really made it, as I say, was that punch in the middle by Jason Little, and the way he got the ball back quickly.
Michael Lynagh presented with a rather more difficult kick than he's had to contend with this afternoon, almost from the touchline.
It's a very difficult kick, though, in many ways less pressure on the kicker in these conditions from the touchline. If he gets it, it'll be a bonus.
And the the wind has interfered yet again. And so Lynagh not able to convert that try by Paul Carosa, but Australia now in the lead. 8 points to 3, they lead South Africa. Phil Kearns out to the back, Eels taps it down, picked up by Tony Daly. He goes barging into the forwards, and Nick Farr-Jones will want it back now. And he gets it back to Phil Kearns. Again, Farr-Jones has it. This time John Eales been used as the battering ram, but been pushed back by South Africa. But Australia controlling the ball, well, getting it back again. Farr-Jones out to Lynagh. The long pass out to Little, he slips, can't get the pass back to Lynagh. And now Donny Gerwel intercepting. Getting it back to Nasporta, to James Small. And Robert Dupree with the kick ahead. Good counter-attack by South Africa, but the ball going straight into touch.
As the half-time whistle has gone. And once again, clear the Australians varying their tactics. Big men standing out one at a time to run at the South African midfield. That time it held, but 8 points to 3 ahead, and one feels that Nasporta will have a very serious talking to his side at half-time. And it's a free kick to Australia, and here they come with the drive. Kearns.
Farr-Jones getting it back now, taken on by Gavin. Farr-Jones again. Lynagh. Horan with the chip ahead, being chased by Carosa and by Horan. And the chase is on between Horan and Nasporta, but the ball will beat them both over the dead ball line. Again, clever play from the Australian inside centre.
And look how simple Australia are playing it. We've seen them punch in the middle. The difference between the South Africans and the Australians is the ball comes back so quickly for Australia. And again, super covering by Nasporta. I think the ball just running over the dead ball line. My goodness, there wasn't much in it.
Back in the action, and a kick in the way of Australia. For one of their forwards being tackled as he went up for the ball, but being tackled before he even got the ball.
And South Africa just giving away too many penalties at this stage, not allowing themselves to get back into the game, breaking it up. And the Australians certainly been punishing them with distance. Well, now an indication of how strong the wind is over there. Lynagh having a go for poles. And it really is extraordinary. Looking up at the flags and the grandstands, the top of the grandstands, you can't see them from that shot. They are blowing in different directions right away around the ground.
And that's Michael Lynagh's kicking record this afternoon. Certainly not the best, but conditions haven't been the best. And this is a fairly long one in these muddy underfoot conditions.
And a very important kick, of course. Should he get it, Australia will be at least 2 scores ahead of South Africa.
And the wind seems to drop a little bit as Lynagh goes in. Is it going to have the legs? No, it's not. Nor the direction. And Nasporta just slows it down, dots down for the 22. High hanging drop from Nasporta and taken on by Uli Schmidt to Jannie Breert. And there's the ball made available. Out it comes to Nasporta. Kick with the left boot, charge down. Robert Dupree tidies up for South Africa. Second time this afternoon that we've seen a kick from Nasporta charge down. And Jannie Breert is limping as he goes into that maul. This time Farr-Jones gets it out to Lynagh. The long pass skipping out the centres, but a good punching tackle by South African defence, and South Africa getting the penalty.
Well, again, a thumping tackle from Peter Muller, but one wonders, could the referee have played advantage? South Africa winning the ball with an overlap, and he seemed to blow them up quite quickly. And a really vital kick for Botha here. And although territorially the Australians have dominated in the second half, and to large extent the first half, only 8 points to 3. Now while Botha's lining up the kick, Peter Muller receiving more treatment down by the tunnel.
keeping it low but not striking it well. And Michael Lynagh gathering behind his line and dotting it down. That's Peter Miller, who had a bit of treatment whilst Mark Wilter took the kick. And Marty Roebuck with the dropout. Muller straight back into the action and taking it and running directly at the Australians, getting into Robert Dupree. That's the high hoisted one from Robert Dupree. Marty Roebuck, Donnie Gerber tapping it back, picked up by Ollie Schmidt, and the referee's whistle is gone.
Well, the crowd booing, but clearly went forward. But look at the way Donnie Gerber chased after that ball. Robert Dupree lofting the high one, and suddenly South Africa have their tails up again. It's 8 points to 3, 24 minutes to go.
An attempt to reduce the deficit to 2 points. Again, it's going to be wide to the left. Campese deciding to open up from inside his own goal area. And look at the beautiful running of David Campese, releasing the ball to the burly Mackenzie, taking it on. Far Jones gets it back. And now they're going to open it up. Willie O on the rampage. Out comes to Tim Gavin. Good tackle by Johan Steger coming across. Far Jones getting it back again to Campese. Trying to be booted on by Horan as he's tackled by Donnie Gerber, Peter Muller rather.
Once again, super rugby from Australia.
Quick one by Nosbuurte and Donnie Gerber can't pick it up. Lane advantage is the referee. Willie O over the 22 when he goes down. While Jones gets it back again. Good on the blind side. Good tackle by James Small. Kenzie taking it on. While Jones again to Horan, chip over the top, back Willie Schmidt, good play from Willie Schmidt, across to Peter Hendricks and he opens up. Good tackle by Carozza coming across from the left wing.
Well, away down on the left, James Small has taken a heavy knock, he's receiving treatment. But super play by the Australians, retaining possession and running the ball. 3 or 4 movements they used and each time retained possession. Mind you, Uli Schmidt once again caught the final kick and almost put Peter Hendricks away. And that's really the first run we've seen from him in both test matches. And, well, he really had a go at Campese. But the end result is another important penalty to Australia. 8 points to 3, 13 minutes to go. And once again, should they kick it, it'll put them more than 2 scores ahead. Well, the referee, I think there's been a bit of dirty play, and it looks like Drickus Hatting is the man. Well, that was linesman Lindsay McLaughlin pointed out that Drickus Hatting had been up to something. And the penalty from this side of the field will favour Lynagh.
Drickus Hatting, no doubt, a little bit over-anxious, a little bit over-exuberant to prove himself for the first opportunity that he's had to come out on the field for South Africa. And the penalty being awarded to Australia in the more favourable position. Michael Lynagh, who'd indicated that he was going to go for pass from the other side. Obviously deciding the same from this, the more favourable side. It's a much better kick from Michael Lynagh. That's right through the middle, and so Australia now stretch their lead.
Well, that could be a vital kick, as I say, and now it's perhaps time for South Africa to throw caution to the wind.
Australia making a few meters before they release the ball. Lynagh being forced across as he's challenged by Peter Miller and getting the kick in Theo van Rensburg, waiting for it to bounce and then taking it. Chip ahead. Lynagh picks it up, and Tim Horan, in fact, dashing his way through the middle. A little chip over the top. Donnie Gerber comes across to try and stop him. And Gerber eventually picks up the ball as he's tackled by Horan. In the wake of Australia, Campese goes over. David Campese on hand. And what a glorious moment that is. Look at the smile on his face. The 50th try that he's scored for Australia in his 69 tests. And the break coming from Timmy Horan. Donnie Gerber picking up the ball, unable to find his touch, being tackled by Horan. And Nathan Little in there to try and help them. And all of a sudden the ball popping out. David Campese on hand, and all he had to do was catch it. Theo van Rensburg nowhere near enough to stop him. And obviously that tackle by Horan after he'd made the initial break and then booted ahead. Donnie Gerber back to tidy up, but Horan getting the tackle, Horan getting the ball away, and Campese scoring the try. David Campese, who in fact has played every single game on the tour. He was one of the original selections for both the Western Transvaal game and the Northern Transvaal game when he scored a couple of tries. And then he came on as a replacement against Eastern Province after Darren Juni left the field just into the second half. He scored a try and fell heavily, and Dave Campese came onto the field. And today, of course, playing on the right wing for Australia in that number 11 jersey as we watch Lynagh. And once again, he's not going to succeed. Bar Jones waiting for it. And picked up by the loose forwards and driven on. Ewan McKenzie burrowing in there. I think he's got the ball under his arm. He's going to be pushed over the line, just short of the line. And the penalty to Australia. Putting the man down. There you can see the line-outs. South Africa just 9 clean wins to the 12 by Australia. As we see Michael Lynagh there going for posts. And the free kicks, Australia shading that 2-1. And also more penalties to Australia. And one of the penalties being used at the moment by Michael Lynagh to see whether he can put over the penalty. And just a couple of minutes remaining. And Australia a commanding lead, 16 points to 3. 2 tries, 1 scored by either wing. Rosa the first, Campese the second, Lynagh with the kick, and that looks a good one from Michael Lynagh. Yes, he's made no mistake at all. And a further 3 points go the way of Australia. Up the score goes to 19 to the 3 of South Africa. Michael Lynagh, who hasn't really had his kicking boots on this afternoon, making that one look so easy from close to the touchline. Lars Botha again isn't going to find his 10 metres. And South Africa caught a little bit napping here as Eels boots ahead. And Theo van Rensburg eventually coming to save the day. He's booting it back downfield. Campese has it. Chip ahead from Dave Campese, picked up by James Small coming across. And he finds Peter Hendricks in support. Picked up by Val Bartman for South Africa. Assistance from Jannie Breert. Now the whole South African pack driving in. Robert Dupree gets it back. Last word to the long pass out to James Small. He had Donnie Gerber on his outside, but I think he was slightly forward of Small. Australia get it back. And back it comes to Caroza. The chip ahead by Paul Caroza, and he'll boot it over the line if he's got any luck, and he can dive over and score. He's given the try, Paul Caroza. And Peter Miller disgusted, Paul Caroza delighted. He's gone over for his second try of the afternoon, the third one for Australia. Brilliant individual play by Caroza, receives the ball, kicks it ahead, and the chase taken up by Robert Dupree and Caroza. He gets there first, boots it ahead, and the ball just short of the line as he dives, and his momentum takes him over with Peter Miller on his back. Carosa getting a second round of applause. And Australia really running away with it at the moment. Their lead up until about 12 minutes ago was 8 points to 3. But all of a sudden, Lynagh succeeded with a couple of penalties. Campese went over for a try. Carosa's gone over for his second try. And Lynagh now with the opportunity to convert the Carosa try. And certainly all of a sudden his kicking form has come back as the referee blows the final whistle as Michael Lynagh converts the try. And so Australia have beaten South Africa 26 points to 3 and really piling on the pressure at the end. So Australia scoring the tries, Carosa the first one, Campese scoring the second, his 50th one in international rugby, and Carosa going over just before the end. Lynagh converting one of those tries, adding 3 penalties, and for South Africa, just the sole penalty coming from their skipper, Nas Botha.
Nick, can you give us a word?
What do you want to know?
Well, first of all, how do you feel? Daft question. You've just beaten South Africa, what, I think 26 points to 3. How do you feel?
Yeah, fantastic. We've really been wanting to get it right for a long while, and we did all right against New Zealand. We're delighted to win the Bledisloe Cup, but I think that 80 minutes, especially in tough conditions, we proved that we are the best, and it is a real relief yet again. To come on a tour of South Africa, play 4 hard games, come away with 4 wins, culminating in that result is just great.
What were your tactics, looking at the weather, knowing South Africa would be fired up after their good second half performance against the All Blacks?
We figured that if we got it right, like we did in the semi-final of the World Cup last year, if we had all the enthusiasm and the urgency, that South Africa wouldn't know it hit them. I'm not saying New Zealand didn't play well, because they played very well, but we, at times, when we get it right, we can really play with urgency, enthusiasm. That's what we try to do. I think we shell-shocked South Africa early, but we did run into a slight breeze when we got to 8-3, turning at half-time. All we had to do was cut down the Razzle-Tazz play. You know, we threw a lot of bad passes, a lot of risky passes, just play percentage rugby, and we had a good chance.
Talk us through the tries. Do you remember them? You seemed to set people running, punching and ball back quickly, moving it wide. Was that a tactic?
Well, it was. We've practiced that all year, that if we can get quick ruck ball, feeding forwards, running both directions, and Jason Little, Timmy Horan, Marty Roebuck, they also ran off well from the base of rucks and mauls, going in both directions. And I think that caught South Africa a bit out, you know, when we go one way to the right, bring it back quickly to the left, and they seemed a bit short on numbers. First try was a good one. Phil Kearns took it round off the back of a maul, round to the left, passed it to me. Mike Lynagh really made it with the ball round the back to Paul Carosa. And even with, including David Campese, I don't think there's a better finisher in the game at the moment than Paul Carosa. Not many wingers could have finished that first one, and the last try was just fantastic. The second try, Tim Horan's try, got through, wonderful chip, put pressure on. I think it was Tim who threw the pass to Campo as well.
It was brilliant. If you had, now I know you're a diplomat and you're not going to criticise, but if you had some advice for South Africa, they're just back in World Rugby, they're going to go on a very difficult tour now, France and England, what would your advice be, your friendly advice to them?
Well, I don't know if I'd advise them. I'd just say, look, keep your heads up, because it's going to take some time. This team's been together largely since '89, and it was really only last year that we started to get it right, really starting with a victory over New Zealand in Wellington in 1990. It takes a couple of years. South Africa have been together for 2 domestic tests. You know, I really don't think they'll be hitting their best form maybe for 2 or 3 years. But we of Australia strongly encourage the unification process. We would like to see, you know, for the World Cup in '95, that you don't have some of the problems that we've had on this tour.
Did that affect you at all, the row after last week, the pressure, the political pressure on you this week?
No, it didn't affect us because it happened early in the week. It was Monday that we thought there might have been problems when the ANC met, but it seemed that fairly early in the week that the ANC had agreed to approve the tour, or continue to approve it, and we really focused in hard from that time. So, you know, we had 4 days when to prepare, and it reminded me of the week leading into the semi-final last year against New Zealand, when we did it all right. The boys were on a hot tin roof. We prepared with urgency and enthusiasm, and it showed out there today.
Final question. You said if you lost today, you might be keen to play on. What about Nick Farr-Jones? Are you going to play again for Australia?
Look, there's always the option if Pete Slattery gets injured next year, and we don't have a solid backup. We've got plenty of good halfbacks back in Australia. I might throw the hand up, but you know, I'm really happy with what I've been able to achieve, and I'm privileged to have been able to play for Australia for so long. The thing that I'll miss, maybe not the playing, because as you get older, it's harder to play. But I'll miss the camaraderie, the fellowship within this team. It is just fantastic, and I'm glad I got out at this note if I get out.
Well, congratulations, and thanks for all the magic moments, Nick Farr-Jones.
Thank you very much.
All right, well, what we'll do now is we will cross back to our commentators up in the grandstand.
Well, the Australian captain, Nick.
The grandstand, I have the losing captain, Naas Botha. Naas, Nick Farr-Jones said his advice to South Africa was not to be downhearted. It took them a while to get it right. What do you think about that?
John, I must say, I think Australia proved today that while they're the world champions, they really played well. And, you know, the conditions made it very tough for us because we wanted to spin the ball. But, you know, in these conditions, you just couldn't. You couldn't find your footing. And it was very difficult conditions for us. But on the other hand, they played so well that they made it very difficult for us.
What were your match tactics going into the game?
What we tried to do is, you know, we tried to keep it close. And then, you know, if the chance is there, to play it wide. But... you know, the thing is going forward, and then we struggled to get a quick ball out, you know, and then we couldn't get it out to the wings, and that's where, you know, that's where our strong points are, and we just couldn't do it.
Have you learnt any specific lessons from them? They seem to do everything so well, cut down mistakes in that second half. It really was copybook stuff.
Oh, for sure, and I think, you know, that's coming from experience, and you know. I think today they proved that you can never buy experience, and you know, that's one thing that we've learned today is that you know, we need experience. You know, we need to get the ball out quickly, and we just need to adapt to conditions.
You need a tour.
We need a tour desperately, and we should have had one already. But you know, we're not going to lie down now. It's just back to the drawing board and get stuck into it.
What's the mood like in the dressing room? Are the team genuinely disappointed, or are they looking positively at the future?
No, I think they're looking positively at the future. But the only thing, I think we all wanted to do well, especially after last Saturday. But you know, if it's getting tough, you know, the only thing you can do is to keep your head up.
The referee, you were very critical of the referee last week. There seemed to be certain misunderstandings. Today it seemed a lot better, was it?
Yeah, I think, you know, it was totally different today. We had, to put it nicely, we had a nice guy on the field, you know, and he made it so easy for us to play, and we never even had to go to him and ask him why. Why is the decision? You know, it was so clear why he made the decisions, and it was just a joy to play under him.
I asked Nick Farr-Jones about his future. He was a little bit cagey. What about Naas Botha?
No, I'm very cagey now. In the next 24 hours, I'll let you know.
Okay, Naas, thanks for talking to us and keep the head up.
Thank you.
Cheers. Okay, let's get back to our commentators up in the grandstand.